and welcome back to another episode of the Beauty Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy, and I'm so excited you're here. We've just hit over 2,000 downloads, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of this incredible community. Every week, I'm inspired by your dedication to building your own thriving beauty empire and collectively elevating the beauty industry. We're on this journey together, and trust me, there's so much more to come, including some very exciting plans for 2025. But more on that later. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you and celebrate you. Seriously, you're the reason why I show up every single week, scripting, filming, and working side by side with my podcast agency to get this content out there for you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being a part of this amazing community and joining me on this journey to raise the standards of the industry. I mean, I couldn't do this without you. We're in this together, and that's what makes it so powerful. And hey, if you've had those powerful aha moments, those mindset shifts, or taken on the strategies I've shared, and you're seeing results, then yes, I'm cheering you on. That's what it's all about. Your growth, your wins, that's why we're here. You're making it happen, and I couldn't be prouder of you. I recognize that running a business is not easy, and if it were, everyone would be doing it. And I know that by showing up to these episodes, you're choosing not to settle for an average life. You're driven to make impact, build something you're proud of, and create a business that allows you to live out your unique definition of success. Today, we're diving into how to charge more for your services without having a full-blown anxiety attack. This is going to be an eye-opening episode if you've struggled with pricing or felt like you're stuck in a cycle of burnout. And trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll have the confidence to start making some real changes. Plus, I'll be sharing an exciting way for you to learn even more about how to build a high-end beauty brand. So stick around. But before we dive into today's topic, let me get real with you for a second. The past month has been one of the most challenging times in my life. And the reason why I share this is because even if it only helps one person, I'll know that it was worth it. Because the changes that have come from this have been so powerful, and I want to be able to give someone the gift of the new change I've welcomed into my life recently. So, as you know, if you've been following along to these podcast episodes and you follow me on social media, you'll know that I did get quite sick in Bali. I had a parasite. I lost 5 kilos. I was really unwell. But on top of that, I was dealing with a lot of stress within my family. We've had setbacks with the bowling alley and still not being open. We actually haven't had any income since October 2023. We're now waist deep in $1.5 million debt and just pushing as hard as we can to get the doors open. On top of that, I'd been questioning absolutely everything I'm doing in life. I actually took a big step back from group coaching and have just been working closely with a few one-on-one clients because I just haven't had the emotional or energetic capacity to give to a large amount of people at this stage in business and life. And some days I beat myself up because I wish I was further ahead, but I also know that it's okay to not have it all figured out. And I'm actually respecting myself and my clients more by making that decision rather than trying to continue just spreading myself too thin and being everything to everyone. It's a part of the journey and process. You make mistakes, you learn something new, and then you build something even better. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm actually in the process of moving from Kajabi into Go High Level, and I've had my website down for probably over a month now. And when I had my website rebuilt, it was done in WordPress that was hosted through GoDaddy. And then I moved into Go High Level and there was a WordPress hosting option. I tried to migrate everything. It didn't work. And I'd been on 5 calls with different support teams and things, still couldn't get any answers. So I've actually had to pay for someone to now kind of copy what was built in WordPress, then put it into Go High Level. And yeah, it's just cost me a lot of money and a lot of time. And also, it also leads to a lack of trust. Like if you don't have a website up and people are looking you up, they're listening to this podcast, they want to work with you, it is actually really stressful because it's just like, that is my portfolio. That is my messaging, everything. It's just been missing. So I guess deep down, I'm really frustrated, but I'm also excited because I know that once it is set up and it's done properly, I won't have to continue going back and forth between platforms and all of those things. So blessing and a curse, but it has been quite the process. And then on top of that, I feel like I've been sharing a lot of this on my personal more than my business side, but I've spent 2 months working on a liquor license application. And if you ever look at getting one in your business, I can tell you right now, it is one of the most painful experiences I've ever been through. I had to do a public interest assessment, which meant I had to look into all of the data surrounding Albany. I had to look at all the laws in the liquor license. I had to do a public survey. There were so many different moving parts in it. I spent 2 months writing out this entire PIA. And then by the time I went to go submit it, I got rejected and they told me that the questions were wrong. And then I found out a month ago that they had changed the form structure. So I had to essentially rewrite. I could grab pieces of information from the old one, but I literally had to rewrite the entire thing, which was just so much wasted time, not going to lie. And then on top of that, you had to provide a redacted version and an unredacted version. So, when they have those black bits and they mark out the sensitive information, people's names, contact information, addresses, all of those things. And I was just like, why would you not tell me that from the start? And then on top of that, now they're like, oh, we need an unaccompanied juvenile policy. And it's never ending. Government departments are so difficult. It is not funny. So for anyone who is going through hoops, I have so much empathy and understanding for the whole process because it is not fun. On top of that, we got scammed $16,000 by getting sold flooring that isn't suitable for commercial use. So despite the sales team, the business, everyone coming through and saying, yeah, it'll work, it was like a hybrid flooring. It can't withstand more than 200 kilos. And when you've got things like video games or a whole bunch of people standing on that flooring, it's definitely going to be more than 200 kilos. So tried following up with the business. They've been very avoidant with everything. So it's quite frustrating needing to go and manage that, obviously escalate it and have the issue resolved. And with all of that going on in the background, I quite literally hit rock bottom. And it was probably the best thing to have happened to me because it made me realize so many things needed to change. And every time I've gone through these seasons in my life in business where I get extremely burnt out or overwhelmed, I always kind of question everything I'm doing, what it means, what it's all for. And I don't think enough people actually talk about this. When you have consistent patterns of burnout or overwhelm, sometimes it's like, cool, you're going through a big growth stage and that's going to be a natural part. But then other times it's also like, what is the lesson that I'm not learning here, or why haven't I made these changes? And so these were the steps that I actually took. And I hope that if you're going through anything similar or you've had an experience where you're like, how do I pull myself out of this, that some of these tips or things that I've done, you can action and start moving yourself in a better direction. So firstly, I did some journaling to get clarity on what I wanted my lifestyle to look like. So often we look at other people and just kind of follow that path to an extent, because when we don't actually 100% know what we want and have clarity on that, we kind of just look at what other people have and then we kind of think, oh, maybe that's what I want. And you just follow that path. And then you get to a point where you're so unhappy, you're not fulfilled by what you're doing and you're wondering why this is happening. And it's because you're not actually living life in alignment with your values or your purpose or your why. And so what I did is I got clear on my why I'm doing all of this, who I'm doing it for. I needed to realize that I need to be doing this for me and not for other people. And then I started writing about the life I want to live. So how many hours I want to work, what I love doing the most in the business, what I'm doing for myself, who I make time for. When you get really clear on these things, then you can start to look at, okay, well, what are my standards? What are my habits? What are my beliefs? How am I showing up? And if I'm not currently showing up in a way that's going to get me those things, what needs to change and what do I need to do to become that higher version of myself. By getting clarity on that, I got super clear on the type of business model that was then aligned to all the things I wrote down. And that allowed me to redesign everything. And if you are feeling really burnt out or overwhelmed or all those things in business, it might be time for you to actually have a look at like, why is that happening? And what structure or system have I created? And is that actually going to help me create the life I want? Because I think often we hear this financial freedom. I want flexibility with my time. But if you don't actually create the model, the system, the structure to support that, you're not going to be able to achieve that. And I will be the first person to admit that the way I was running my coaching business previously definitely was not aligned to that. And being able to design something that felt like a full body fuck yes for me absolutely has changed the game. On top of that, I made the decision to invest in a mindset coach. My nervous system has been so dysregulated and I felt numb for so long. I've been working with Kieran. She has allowed me to start doing the inner healing of the chaos, the trauma, and the numbness that I've just accumulated from years of my life, from being a kid through to now. Especially being involved in 11 businesses, you go through a lot of hardships, challenges, sacrifices, and things. Also being a woman and, not valuing myself enough, not being 100% confident in where I'm going in my path in life, all of those things. I don't really know how to describe it, but I definitely think I looked for validation in the wrong places when I was growing up because I wasn't able to rely on my parents for the safety and security because I knew they had all these other crazy things going on. And even though I grew up in a safe home and childhood and, it's things like being a part of pageantry or modeling, like all these different aspects of your life, you kind of just push on or, relationships or friendships that were maybe toxic. And if you kind of just keep pushing on and calling that resilience, but not actually processing it properly, being able to just sit through the emotional aspects or reflect on it and take the lessons, if you're just always pushing forward, I think that's what I did for so long. And it's kind of caught up with me now. When I hit that rock bottom, it was like every single bad thing that happened to me just kept coming up. And I was like, I need to actually get help and work on this. And it's crazy how much I normalized not feeling pain to only realize that I was also stopping myself from experiencing excitement and joy too. And so slowly I'm starting to embody my emotions and feminine energy, which is something that I always kind of looked at like, oh, maybe it's woo-woo or maybe it's weird, but I definitely see the power in doing all of this stuff. And it's weird because I've done mindset coaching in the past. I've done my NLP practitioner and master's certifications. And when I was doing those, I was having the most insane breakthroughs in my life. I was signing on the most amount of clients, making the most money, and I was learning so much about myself. And I think that by talking about this stuff, it's like if you're ever hitting a brick wall in business, sometimes you need to look at how much time you've actually been investing in your own growth and your own personal development, not just necessarily constantly learning new skills or buying new equipment. It's like, what actual work are you doing on the person you are today? Because if you haven't healed the stuff from your childhood or the traumatic events in your life, it will keep coming up for you and continuing to be a roadblock that blocks you from having success. So that was one thing that has really changed the game. If you have a lot of imposter syndrome, self-doubt, you've got struggles moving past something that's happened, like maybe you've had an employee leave and start their own business, or maybe you got burnt in the past because you were in a toxic relationship, or maybe your parents split when you were younger and you never healed from that. Being able to go and do the work on that will help you become a better version of yourself, which in turn will start getting you better results in your business. On top of that, I started reading again. Like, I love reading, but I always tell myself I don't have time. But it's just because it wasn't a priority for me at the time. I was just trying to do more things on my to-do list. Lead Like You by Joe Wagstaff. I've never felt more heard or seen in my entire life. If you're someone who has struggled with finding yourself, you've had a lot of chaotic things going on, and you're looking for something that's going to support you and give you some practical or actionable strategies, that book, absolutely recommend it. But if you don't have time for reading, you're one of those people, then I recommend getting Audible and listen to 101 essays that change the way you think. It's by Brianna Wiest, I think, or Weist. That's on Audible. I listened to 4 hours of that when I was driving from Albany back up to Perth, and it just really shed light on some incredibly powerful mindset shifts and perspectives around how we perceive situations or things we can focus our attention and energy in to have a more fulfilled and happy life. Also, on top of that, when you're grinding and you're hustling and you're sitting down all day, like sitting is the new smoking. I need to aim towards hitting 10,000 steps daily. And I am committing to that. Going for 15 to 30-minute walks every 2 to 3 hours as a working block is now the new non-negotiable for me. And if you think about it, if you're sitting down for so long, your hips are getting so tight. You know, you're not moving your body and energy. You've got all of this stress and tension just holding within your body. Sometimes I'll just call and check in with someone in my life that I haven't spoken to in a while. So it might be a family member, a friend, even an old client. I love checking in with them and just seeing how they are. It's a great way for you to stay active in both your physical life and also in the relationships and people you want to keep within your life. Also, game changer, just not looking at social media straight away when you wake up in the mornings. You know, if you can give yourself 2 hours distraction free. I go to the gym, do my workout, stretch, release any tension, and then I will go and do some journaling, and then I will get into doing 2 hours of just uninterrupted work. That's my key to having a successful morning routine. Everyone's different. And I'm not saying you have to get up at 4:30 and do all the crazy stuff like me, but just find what works for you and then consistently do that. Because once you have a routine, your body, your mind, everything will start getting into this state of flow. The other thing that I would also look at is like, how often are you getting out in nature? Whether that's going to the beach, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's just getting out of being in this crazy fast-paced world of just doing constantly. It really helps reset the soul, I have to say. Even though sometimes, like if you know about my hiking journeys that I've been going on, sometimes I get lost, sometimes I feel like I'm literally dying, but at the end of every single time, I'm so glad that I did it and I just changed my environment, because it actually helps with my creative energy, my thoughts, my ideas by breaking away from the hustle and bustle. And then also, like I was mentioning before, journaling. For clarity, reflection, answers, it's crazy how much of a difference it makes just by putting a pen to paper and actually giving yourself the time to think. Sometimes you realize that you're way more powerful than you know. You actually have all the answers within you. You just don't give yourself the space to actually search for them because you avoid it by saying, I don't know. So if you can actually just like write down some of the hard questions or the things that you're looking for answers to and sit with it until you come up with something, that's going to give you some of the most important lessons or key findings that can help you problem solve and coach yourself through your own anything that comes up in life, really. So as I've been doing all these things, I've slowly been able to shift out of the negative headspace and start attracting exciting opportunities into my life. So it hasn't been all bad. When I first started this podcast, I had a big goal of interviewing someone from or associated with L'Oreal, which is the world's biggest beauty brand. And I've actually got someone lined up in November. It's just crazy. Like I thought, oh, that would be really cool. That seems really unachievable. But because I wrote it down and I put a pen to paper, that was something that I wanted to do. All of a sudden, throughout my subconscious activity, I started moving myself towards that goal and I found someone, and you are absolutely going to love her. She has been on tour with L'Oreal last year. She's also just locked in another tour with them next year. So we are going to be able to have some really cool conversations around that, which I can't wait to bring to you. You also may have seen my story, but I sent out this booking email to a lot of businesses that inquired around having functions and stuff at bowling. I created a pitch deck, and then I sent a follow-up email and landed $15,000 worth of bookings in 2 days. So the quick lesson I want to share here is if people are interested in what you have to offer and you present the offer, you present the value, the price point, whatever it is, and you get left on scene or you don't hear back from them, resend another follow-up message or re-offer them again, because most of the time people get busy, they forget to reply, or they just haven't actually had the time to look at things. And so by giving them that simple reminder, that can be all the difference between you landing a client and you losing a client. I also started working with an incredible client one-on-one. Her name's Ellie. You can check her out on Instagram. Her handle is at Beauty Business Society. She's an incredible leadership and HR consultant who's just signed on 2 clients while working with me, which has been insane because when she first started, she was just like, I don't know if I can afford one-on-one. I don't know if it'll be worth it. And just to see within the first 2-3 weeks to have her whole brand kit built out, to start attracting these high-end clients and be working so closely with businesses, it just shows that if you believe in your value and you stand by your value, other people will either run the other way and they're like, no, it's not worth it, or I don't see it, or I can't afford it. But other people that stay and they see the value in it, they show up, they get the results, and then they believe in their own value, and it just becomes this beautiful ripple effect. I have another client who's been working as an agency client with me. We've picked up some crazy stuff behind the scenes that she didn't realize in her business. So we've just saved her $5,500 a year from accounting fees. When they were charging her for tasks she was already doing in her own business. So she was doing payroll, she was doing her BAS, everything. They were charging her for essentially just clicking the submit button. When we actually looked through the contract, we found that they'd been outsourcing all of her data to India and getting them to handle part of the accounting. So yeah, not great. We also just started running her Facebook ad campaigns, and then she's been getting leads for $2.32, which is amazing. Thanks to Sandrine, one of my contractors. Her Insta's Grow Your Beauty Biz if you want to check her out. So it's just been this really cool time of rebuilding everything, restructuring, and just finding what works. And in doing that, I've been building out the back end of the Beauty Industry Leaders School community and had so many people signing up to the wait list, which is super exciting. Creating a low ticket offer is something so many people advise me against doing, but it's something that I believe will create a difference in how I operate. I know with beauty business owners, they're really time poor, stressed out. They've got so many different roles that they're trying to wear. And so for me, I wanted to create something that gives you done for you templates, scripts, AI prompts, processes, things that I've learnt throughout my time in coaching with different businesses within the beauty industry, but also what's worked for me in coaching specifically, what's worked for me when I was running events, what's worked for me in high-end luxury businesses like doing the watches. There's so many different areas that I've been a part of throughout my life. And I used to think that, I have to be master of one and only do one thing. But I also believe that as someone who has ADHD, if you look into human design, I'm a manifesting generator or Gemini. It's just all these different things point to me being someone who is multi-passionate. And I want to be able to share those gifts and not just give what's always been done in beauty. I want to be able to innovate and improve and get better results for everyone. So that's where I'm able to draw my knowledge and skills from different areas and do something different, which I'm really excited to be able to give that back or pay it forwards to others in the industry. Also, who else has signed up for a group coaching program or something and got burnt out? Because running one and being a part of one, I found it to be really great in the first month or two, and then I just struggled to show up energy-wise. Even though I love it, even though I get value out of it, it just becomes one of those things that's another thing on your to-do list. And so my point of difference with the school community that I'm building out is to actually have once a month training session. You know that it's going to be 60 to 90 minutes. You know it's going to be high value, and it gives you an entire month plus resources and materials that will help you implement what you learn into your business for that month. So you know that you're learning one high quality business skill or something that's going to move the needle forward, and you have the month to implement and track that before you add another thing. Because if you're trying to add 50 things at once, or you're trying to commit to so many different things, so many different problems and solutions, you get on a high at the start, but nothing sticks and stays. And so I'm all about the 1% improvements, consistency, and being able to grow that over time. So then you've created something incredible, not something that just rises to the top really quick and falls just as fast. So I've also got some industry powerhouses that I've teamed up with, and they have built incredibly successful businesses. Some have been guests on the podcast already. Some are also to be interviewed at some stage, but I'm really excited for that because it's not just beauty industry leader. It is beauty industry leaders. We take a collaborative approach to share and give back to the industry. And I think that really opens up a lot of conversation around different strategies, different mindsets, different ways of doing. And that allows you as the business owner to choose what feels most aligned to you or what actually sits well with you. So that's some of the cool stuff. Moving forward, I want to invest more of my time and energy into really working one-on-one with only exclusively a few clients and really giving them access to the agency of people that I have pretty much collected, I want to say, not collected, but I've networked, I've built relationships with, I've seen results, and I know that they're the best at what they specialize in. So I've got someone for e-commerce, I've got someone for finance management, I've got someone for meta ads and paid marketing, just being able to finally find your people, leadership and hiring, that is where it's at. Not just giving basic advice or trying to be the person who essentially tries to cover all areas of the business. It's bringing the best of the best and pretty much being able to work closely with those people who are ready to step up their game and become an industry authority or leader because they've built the systems, the structure, the business, and the strategy behind it. It's taken me over 2.5 years of coaching to figure all of this out with the business model I'm creating and the way I'm moving forward. And just having this podcast, it really puts different thoughts and ideas into perspective. And I believe this is what's truly going to help me create an impactful business while still managing a fulfilling and balanced life without the burnout. So, key lesson here, build a business model that works for you. You don't have to follow in everyone else's footsteps just because their dream and way of doing things isn't always going to be the same as yours. Okay, so let's talk about something I see over and over. Beauty business owners who are stuck working in the business, undercharging for their incredible services, and feeling completely burned out. I've done over 30 pricing sessions with skin, lash, and hair business recently. I've had body sculpting. There's been nails, like literally every service in the beauty industry, I've pretty much at least done one session with. And out of all those sessions, only 5 businesses, only 5 were actually profitable. You see, raising your prices isn't just about money. It's about creating an energetic alignment between the value you provide and the compensation you receive. If you're undervaluing your services, not only will your clients fail to see your worth, but you'll also start resenting the work itself. Just take a moment. How are you feeling towards your business? If you take a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and just let that sit with you for a moment and ask yourself, do I currently feel like I'm making enough for this to be all worth it? And if the answer is no, then I invite you to look at restructuring everything. Recently, I've had some much needed conversations with people who have booked one-on-one sessions to work out their prices. And it's really interesting. Like, at a glimpse, I'll share this with you. From the data I've seen, it's really interesting. Like, usually the most profitable is skin and things like body sculpting if you've paid the machine off. But if you're paying, 50 to 150 grand for a machine, then how profitable is it really until you've actually paid it off? So if we were going at face value, I would say skin is usually quite profitable. You could argue that PMU or cosmetic tattooing is profitable, but then given the amount of time it takes to provide that service, even if it's at a high price point, it needs to be sitting at least above $1,000 for it to really be worth it, especially if you're taking, 2.5 to 4 hours to do that. Now, this is just generalizations. So please don't take this to heart. Obviously, it's different for every business based on their overheads, based on the way they operate, how long it takes them to do the service, all the things. The least profitable service in the entire industry is usually nails or waxing, depending on how people price them. But, I'm seeing nail salons in the shopping centers charging $60 to $80 and it's taking them, an hour and a half, 2 hours to do a service. Such a red flag. Like, how can those businesses even afford to stay open is beyond me, unless they're not paying people properly. I was actually talking to Laura O'Hagan. She's a profit consultant who specializes in the beauty industry. It was really interesting. Like, we were having a conversation around profitability. And one of the things she's mentioned is that she does have some clients who are making anywhere from like $400K to 7 figures. And some of them have tax debts. They owe the ATO 120 to 200 grand. And it just really makes me question how people are surviving in business if they're charging cheap prices, if they're always discounting things. Like, how long can you actually last before you go bankrupt? If you're not looking at your numbers, you're not aware of your pricing structure and profit margins, it can really set you back financially, especially if you're constantly chasing your tail with tax debts or loans that you owe. So what we need to start looking at is your prices factoring in your unique overheads. And this is why you can't just compare and copy prices from other people in the industry. You've got a different business structure. Rent might be different. Wages, do you pay commission, super, tax, GST, supplies, loans, debts, financial goals, marketing, professional fees, insurances, like they're different for every single business. And this is why I'm urging you and everyone else in the industry to get super clear on this, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable, even if it scares the shit out of you, because it can be the difference between you making proactive decisions that transform your business into a profitable powerhouse versus being on the verge of bankruptcy. If you want to learn more about pricing strategies, you can go back and listen to the Pricing Pandemic, 6 Steps to Setting Profitable Prices. Or if you want to book in a one-on-one session for me to go through and do this with you, you can use it doing the link in the show notes. Either way, the information is there. I'm happy to support you. However, it's just, I believe that everyone in the industry really needs to be up-leveling their pricing so that the future of innovation, standards, and professionalism can continue progressing in the industry. So right now, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do to confidently increase your pricing and profits in your business. Whenever I go through a one-on-one session, majority of people realize that they aren't making enough money to break even. If they're a sole trader, they're usually not paying themselves a wage or super. Or if they have a team, sometimes they end up paying themselves less than what they are actually paying their full-time employees, let alone being able to take a profit from the business to reinvest back into the growth. And so usually people get really emotionally uncomfortable about putting their prices up because they've been charging way under the mark. They come to this rude shock that they need to be charging a higher amount, and they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, are all my clients going to leave me? Is anyone going to pay that? I'm going to lose everything if I do this. And I've had this conversation with so many people in the past. I've had clients cry to me on the phone because they're so scared to put their prices up, borderline having anxiety attacks, freaking out, making up all the stories in their head. And I can tell you right now, when you put your prices up, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. When you put your prices up, if anything, the clients that you lose end up being the nightmare ones. The ones that don't show up to appointments, reschedule last minute, the ones that always want discounts, the ones that don't follow your aftercare advice. Because the reality is they didn't value you before the increase. So if you increase and you raise your standards and you raise what you perceive yourself as worth, then all of a sudden they get a kickback. And that's all right, because why would you want to keep those clients? You shouldn't be fighting with clients about how much you're charging. When I jump on a flight, yeah, I might be annoyed at the price. It might be expensive, but I need the flight to get to where I want to go. I'm still going to book it. I'm still going to pay for it if I value it, if I want it, if I need it. And there will be people out there who aren't willing to pay that price, and that's okay. I've been rejected in beauty. I've been rejected in the bowling alley bookies. I've been rejected in coaching. It happens. And it's a totally normal part of business. I don't know anyone that lands 100% clients or 100% of the leads they get. Even when you run things like Facebook ads, you'll know that based on this many leads, you actually have that many that actually convert into a client. So then you kind of work backwards from those numbers. It's so normal to have people not want to pay the price, not want to convert straight away. Sometimes it takes time. There's so many different factors that are outside of your control. But what's inside of your control is how much you choose to charge, because what that will do is start to attract a different type of person. So recently, I had this beautiful woman. She jumped on a call with me. She has 10 years of industry experience. I'm not even joking. Like, she's a nail tech. Her work is the best nailer I've ever seen. And I don't say this lightly, because I've seen a lot of different beauty pages. I follow them. I have my VA follow them. Like, there's so many different beauty pages that I have. And to see her nail art, I'm just genuinely shocked. Like, she's amazing. So much talent, so much skill. And she came to me and she was so burnt out. She was seeing clients. She wasn't making much money. She was actually running at a $900 loss per month. And she wasn't attracting clients who actually valued her. The clients she had didn't always value her. They didn't always respect her. They were entitled. Usually they wanted discounts, or, if she put her prices up or spoke about it, oh no, I'll only do it by $5 or something. They would just give her a massive kickback and it would actually scare her out of doing it. So it wasn't great. She was questioning everything. She wanted to leave the industry. She wasn't sure if this was for her anymore. And I'm sure that as I'm saying this, if you have also been in this position, you totally get where I'm coming from, because all of us, when we're not charging what we want to be charging, you deep down, you do build up resentment for what you're doing. So I actually asked her the question, if you were getting paid, instead of $100 or $80, you're getting paid $180 or $200, would you still resent doing it? Would you still want to leave the industry, or would you be so in love with your job? And you know what she did? She actually smiled at me and she said, I'd be so happy and ready to even take more clients on. Now, that's coming from someone who's burnt out. So is it really the work that she was doing was burning her out? Is it the amount of hours she was putting in? Or is it maybe that energetic misalignment that for the work she's putting in, she's not getting fair compensation out of it, or value exchange through money? So then she's building up resentment. She's feeling undervalued. She's having to work harder for less money. She's getting more exhausted, and she's created this additional stress for her because financially she's always behind. Now, I get it. There's also a capacity of level of like how many clients you can take on and how many hours you want to work and what energy you actually have to give to everyone else before, you got to keep some for yourself. But I just sat there and it was really interesting to see this whole shift of, if I were to be actually getting paid more, I would love that and I would actually do more because that excites me. And so naturally, she knew she wanted to be paid more, but then she had this big roadblock, this belief that she couldn't because everyone else charged so much cheaper than she was. And yeah, I get it. Like, there's always going to be people in the market that are charging less than you. And there's always going to be people in the market who are offering worse quality services, worse customer experience, cheaper products too. How many people charge more than you? Because really, if you want to be the best, would you charge low or cheap or medium prices? I think about it in life all the time, like in the medical field, of like how we actually want to pay more for the specialist or the person who we know has more experience or who has referred us in. Obviously, there's a level of trust there. But if you have really cheap prices or you're constantly discounting or devaluing, that's going to create this level of like distrust. If I see someone offering lash extensions for $80, immediate red flag. I'm like, there's no way I'm going there. If I see someone offering a facial for $110 or $90 or something, I'm like, oh, what is the quality of this facial? And so maybe for you, you've thought, oh, I'm going to lose people. Yeah, you're going to lose people that want the cheapest deal. But if you want high quality clients who are looking for high value, they're not always going to be resonating or attracted to cheap prices. So once we made those big shifts in her pricing, which she was excited about, she had this big fear around how clients would react. Will people pay that? I reassured her that, well, what loss is it if someone who sucks the life out of you and makes you resent what you do leaves? You're just creating space for someone new who will value and appreciate you. And once we worked through those mindset blocks, we got into the deeper strategy. Because putting your prices up is one thing, but if you want to do that, there's also this reality check that you also have to level up other areas of your business. Sometimes I kind of see this entitlement. It's like, okay, I should be getting paid more. I'll just jack my prices up. But then it's like, well, okay, do you have a high quality of service? Do you have a great customer experience? Does your branding reflect your pricing? Is your marketing messaging aligned with that kind of offer or pricing that you're putting out? How do you present yourself? And so if there's this big discrepancy between how you're showing up as a brand and a business versus the price point, it creates a lack of trust. So if you're looking to put your prices up, here's exactly what you need to do. If you want your beauty business to survive in the long term, you need to commit yourself to becoming the best at what you do. The people that are the best at what they do, they don't sit in the low end or the average happy medium. They sit at the high or luxury end. So what does it take to get there? Well, number one, it's your presentation. So how do you present yourself as a person, but also as a brand? So what do you wear to work? There's going to be a significant difference in how someone perceives you if you rock up in activewear or track pants suit versus a presentable uniform. Even though you might have this great relationship with your clients and that's the comfortable thing, the way they perceive you and the level of professionalism is going to be very different. Now, if you walk into Kmart and you see what the Kmart uniform is versus you walk into somewhere like Louis Vuitton or Chanel, you can see the difference they take in their pride of presentation. And the reason being is because whether we want to admit it or not, when people look at you at face value based on what you're wearing and how you're showing up, how you speak, your body posture, your confidence, your tone, all of those different things have a direct impact on how people perceive you. It's even been shown, like if you go into a restaurant and you wear casual clothing versus you're wearing fancier clothing, usually you'll notice a slight change in the standard of how the waiter or waitress is going to treat you for the night. It's crazy. I've done it a few different times, worn different things to see how different people react. I've especially done it with people in the luxury market. It's like having this higher level of self-presentation leads to a higher level of trust, professionalism, and respect. So on top of that, like how are you showing up as your brand? Are you using all these different Canva templates that don't have any consistency with the fonts, like the logos, the colors? Like, are you just always changing and chopping things, or do you have your own unique brand? Do you have your own templates? Are you consistently showing the same style of graphics or editing? Do you have consistency with your messaging? Do you have professional branding images? Do you have a professional logo and website? Do you take high quality images with flattering angles of clients? Do you show up consistently? So the first thing I want you to start thinking about is like, if I want to attract a higher quality client, if I want to sit in the higher end of the market, how am I showing up? Because that presentation is everything. Presentation is what will capture the person's attention. The next step that it leads into, number 2, is your messaging. So oftentimes people in our industry may get a little confused thinking that marketing is just posting photos of their work. I do believe that having pretty photos of your work, flattering angles, good lighting, all of that is a crucial component of attracting clients, positioning yourself as an authority, and being seen as a high-end salon or beauty business or beauty brand. But you also want to look at your messaging, because having powerful, consistent messaging is going to be all the difference between creating a level of trust versus a level of distrust. So firstly, who is your ideal client? Who's the person that you're speaking to? When you're trying to speak to everyone, no one listens. When you start getting more clear on the type of person that you're trying to attract and you speak to how they're feeling, what their current challenges, fears, and frustrations are, what are their greatest hopes, dreams, and desires? What do they value? What are they attracted to? How do you reassure them and speak to the barriers and objections they've created in their own minds about using your product or service? How do you reassure them about that? And ultimately, how are you creating the best damn solution in the world for them that is either faster, higher quality, or more convenient for them? Now, once you've got your messaging, you've drawn them in, they're starting to see how you're speaking and they're really relating and resonating with you. The next thing is the offer and the price point. People are always going to be out there that are willing to pay the price. You just have to package it right. So how you value stacking your offer in such a unique way that draws people in, has them already wanting to hand their card over to you before they've finished reading your post or looking at your website. People buy things that make them feel good. People spend hundreds of dollars on a nice dinner, weekend getaways, Bali trips, Euro summers, and yes, believe it or not, beauty services. For many, it's a form of self-care, but it's usually something that makes them look and feel really good. And so people may be more conscious about what they spend their money on because the government isn't just handing out free money all the time like they were back in COVID. But it doesn't mean people aren't willing to pay high prices. So they just need to see the value in it. So that client I was talking about earlier, she was offering 3D nail art for $100 or $120 and a removal was $20. And so when we looked at the prices, the profit margins, her break-even costs and all of that, we got clarity on what she needed to be charging, but we strategically looked at how we could price different services and then offer packages so that people who viewed them separately versus looked at the packages felt like they were getting a better deal. So for an example, instead of calling one of her services a removal plus Korean nail art complex design, we created a unique name for it, which was called the bespoke 3D design experience. And so we also looked at the prices for her removal and then the prices for just getting the nails done, because usually most people will get a removal and then they'll get the nails done. And we upped the prices for the removal from 20 to 50. And then in terms of the actual service of nails on its own, we increased that by a further $50. And then what we did is we created a package which had the removal and then the nail service. We combined it together and we made it $10 cheaper than what you would pay for both the removal and the nail service if you were to have them separately. So let me read to you what we created together as a description for this service. So keep in mind, this is just a nail service that was previously having pictures posted of it. Wow, look at these nails, looks amazing, how pretty. You know, all the typical kind of captions that you see in beauty that don't really land your clients. I'm going to read this out to you, and if you aren't blown away and want to book this by the end of it, then I probably failed as a business coach. Don't listen to any more advice or episodes on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. So, the bespoke 3D design experience where art meets luxury. Immerse yourself in a world of extraordinary creativity and sophistication with the bespoke 3D design experience, where every detail is tailored to your unique desires. This is not just a manicure. It's an exclusive work of art designed to empower and elevate your confidence with luxurious craftsmanship. We begin with a gentle removal process using our e-file technique to ensure a seamless, no-soak removal that protects the natural strength of your nails. An application of premium cuticle oil replenishes moisture and nourishes your nails, setting the stage for the ultimate indulgence. Your experience continues with an expert e-file manicure, where we delicately clean and perfect your cuticles, leaving them healthier, stronger, and beautifully refined. Your nails are then filed and shaped to your desired aesthetic, providing the ideal canvas for our Builder Best Gel, a thicker, protective layer designed to safeguard your nails from daily wear and tear while offering a flawless, polished finish. This experience is taken to new heights with our customized 3D nail art, where your imagination comes to life. Choose from opulent designs such as luxury marble, shimmering gold flakes, delicate pearls, intricate 3D characters, or other advanced hand-painted details. Every element is crafted with precision, transforming your nails into stunning, one-of-a-kind masterpieces that make a bold statement. To lock in your bespoke design, we apply a double top coat, ensuring long-last protection and impeccable shine. Your nails are then carefully cleaned of any excess color or dry skin, followed by a final touch of cuticle oil to leave your hands looking radiant and nourished. Feel empowered by the artistry on your nails. This bespoke 3D design experience is for those who desire nothing less than the extraordinary. Every detail, from the luxurious designs to the precision care, is crafted to celebrate your individuality and elevate your confidence. Unleash your inner artist and indulge in the ultimate 3D nail luxury, because you deserve a masterpiece at your fingertips. Now, I know that's really long and a lot of writing, but for someone who has been burned in the past by going to dodgy nail salons, they're seeing a high-end price point and they're thinking, well, what's so much better about you? And they read that, all of a sudden, all of their anxious insecurity, worries, and fears around what they're actually going to get in exchange for that price point makes them go, wow, I need that. I want that. This is amazing. And so it's really easy to do lazy marketing and call it marketing, putting up photos of your work and saying like, oh, no one's buying. The industry's so saturated, it's not working. But I actually am a strong believer that the industry is not saturated with great marketing and great business owners. There's a lot of people who half-ass things. And by you showing up to this podcast and learning these different strategies, if you can go and implement them in your business, you're going to separate yourself from the rest. The fourth thing that we want to look at is the quality of your service and experience. So one of the best hacks that I've taught all of my coaching clients is that you want to get your clients more excited about the price increase than you are. And how do you do that? Well, you actually want to create a list of all the incredible things that they get by being a client of yours and continuing to be a part of your business journey. Like I've said in previous episodes and on social media, it's not really exciting when you say, oh, unfortunately, due to the rising cost of living, we've got to put our prices up to keep our doors open. Like, who says that? How is that exciting? That just sounds like you're blaming the cost of living on your clients because now they got to pay the price because you're struggling with that problem and they're going to fix it. I want you to start thinking about price increases being a positive thing for your clients. Price increases don't just mean more expensive prices for your clients. It can mean upskilling in new innovative techniques to continue to stay at the top of your game with new skills and knowledge so that they know they're working with the best. Investing in higher quality products and equipment that can get even better client results. Maybe it's the little things like getting greeted with a cute affirmation card, having a relaxing tea after the appointment in the waiting room, or maybe even some snacks. I don't know. Maybe it's getting a bolster underneath your legs and back, having that electric blanket in winter, maybe having a weighted blanket, an end of year Christmas celebration with clients. It could be you hiring a new team member. It could be new renovations, upgrades, or opening another location. Whatever it is, whatever the growth is, whatever the benefit is to the client, you want to share that and get them excited, because if they feel like they're a part of that journey and they're contributing to it and they're getting something out of it, then yeah, it's going to be exciting for them. They want to continue supporting and being a client of yours because they see the growth. The amount of times that I've spoken to my clients about a new course, training, coach I've been working with, and being able to share the learnings or what's been working well for me in my business and giving that to them, that's actually got them more excited. And they're like, I see that the person that I'm investing in is also investing in themselves, which means that I get a better quality experience or service. And so I want you to start thinking about that with your current clients. Like maybe you're already doing all these things, but you're just not communicating them. So whatever you've been doing well, whatever you're continuing to do to grow your business, improve it and innovate, that's the stuff you want to share and thank your clients for being a part of that journey with you. Not to mention, if you have profitable prices, if you have profit margins in your business, you can actually afford to invest in the growth and improvement of your business. If there's no money to invest in your business, you'll either stay stagnant or you'll decline. There's a reason why the best companies in the world pay their staff members the most amount of money because they want to reward them for the hard work. They want them to stay loyal. There's a reason why the best businesses are the best at what they do because they have the money to continue investing in product quality improvement. They can invest in having more research, data. They're able to go test things. They're able to go do so much more with having profit. If you have no profit margins, if you have no profit in your business, you're just scraping the barrel and just barely struggling to continue opening your doors. And it's funny because everyone goes to me, oh, well, you have to be making enough money to be profitable, but it actually starts with pricing your services properly. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. It actually matters how much money you're keeping to invest. That's what separates the best from the rest. Now, the fifth one, it's not directly something that you will start to apply in your business, but when you apply the first 4 things, this is a result of it. And that is changing the way you show up. So when you genuinely love what you do, you're getting paid the money that excites you to get out of bed every morning and you feel fulfilled, you're going to be treating yourself better, which also has a ripple effect onto the way you treat your clients, your team, your relationships in your life, like everything. I want you to take a moment and picture this. There's a client out there. They always want discounts. They don't show up to appointments on time. They don't follow your aftercare instructions. How does it make you feel to know when you've got that person coming in if it's tomorrow? Do you get excited? Or do you think, oh, it's not even worth going in. I'd rather have a sleep in, or I'd rather get my marketing done, or rather do anything but that. Now, imagine the client who's always on time, happy to pay full price. Maybe they even tip you every now and again, or they always go to buy more products and services because they really love and value you. What do you notice about your feelings and emotions? How do you think this has a greater impact on you? Who is more likely to change the way you show up in your business in a way that serves the business and makes it a more positive environment? It's just something to think about. My mission with beauty industry leaders is simple: to raise the standards, and it all starts with us. For far too long, our industry has been undercharging and undervalued. The businesses that constantly discount their prices and undercut the competition in a desperate scramble for clients are racing toward the bottom. They aren't just undervaluing their services, they're devaluing the entire industry. But I know that if you're listening to this episode, that's not you. You're here because you're committed to excellence, you're driven to be seen as a leader, and you're ready to pave the pathway for a brighter, more respected future in beauty. Leaders in the industry don't settle for average. They build high-end brands with marketing that reflects the value they bring. They attract high-quality clients who appreciate and are willing to pay for the level of the service they provide. And with high profitability, these leaders reinvest into their businesses, fueling growth, innovation, and the evolution of the professional standards and impact. If you're ready to join me on this journey of transformation, I invite you to get on the waitlist for the Beauty Industry Leaders School community. In this community, I'll be sharing exclusive strategies to help you elevate your business, attract high-end clients, and gain industry authority. To get on the waitlist, simply DM me waitlist to Sammy Kennedy Coach on Instagram. We've got an incredible masterclass coming in November, and this is your chance to get ahead for 2025. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. This is only for people in the school community, and it's going to help you do everything you need to do to get ahead in 2025 rather than getting through the busy period, getting into January, having that drop-off of clients in February, and then questioning, how do I build myself back up? We want to have you planned and prepared for what's to come. If you've got big goals, I want you to join me in this. And look, if you don't have the time to implement the changes yourself, you don't want to join a community, you don't want to be part of it, then we also have our agency, which is here to help you execute it all for you. So if this episode brought you value, please share it with a fellow beauty business owner who would also benefit from it. We're all about growth and community here, and together we can raise the standards in the industry. Thank you so much for listening into today's episode, and I will catch you next week.
Audience exclusive.